Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Logan, and I'm here bringing you this podcast for the week of January 25th. It is currently January 24th, and so on this one, we'll be talking about what's coming out tomorrow, what I've been listening to lately, which luckily has been quite a bit, and I'll be talking about some of my favorite rap beefs of all time, and I will tell you once we get to that point why I decided that to be the topic for this week. But yeah, first off, I'm going to start with what's coming out tomorrow, and as you all know, it's getting to that point of January where stuff finally is coming out. Of course, at the beginning of January, nothing really came out for the first 2 weeks. Maybe a little bit here and there, but nothing really worth checking out for the most part. And then last week, things started ramping up with the Future release, and then Malibu Ken also coming out on last Friday. And of course, only one of those was actually worth listening to, but both of them you had to check out just in case. You can go ahead and check out my reviews if you don't know which one I'm talking about, although you can probably figure it out. But yeah, this week keeps up the trend. There is at least one album coming out that I'm definitely going to check out and I'm actually excited for. Other than that, not too much. It still is definitely going slow. We're not getting to that point where 2 or 3 major-ish artists are dropping like we had last year in May, June, July, and all of that. And I'm assuming it'll be the same this year. It usually starts out slow, and then as we get going around March or April time, people start, but bigger name artists start dropping. But yeah, this week, the one that I'm excited to check out is going to be Boogie's newest project called Everything's for Sale. This is one that has me excited because Boogie, if you don't know who he is currently signed to Interscope and Shady Records. And of course, a lot of those artists, they put out a lot of good work. And I'm hoping that he can do more of the same. This one does have a few cool tracks on it. I'm looking at it, and it has a feature from Eminem. That has me excited. It also has a feature from JID, and JID, of course, I would hope you know who he is. He is up and coming. He just recently had DiCaprio 2 come out, which was pretty good. Not quite as good as his other project, The Never Story. I really love The Never Story. So first off, it has some good features. You never know what Eminem we're going to get, but usually he does kill it on the features, so I'm hoping that he can continue that trend. And yeah, I'm just really excited for this one. I have a lot of hope for a lot of the Shady Records artists, even though maybe they haven't been as on fire as they were like in the earlier 2010s or anything like that, but still, I have hope for them all the same. With that being said, that's about all that's coming out this coming week. I'm looking at my computer right now at the release schedule for this week, and there's really not much coming out, and really for the rest of the month, there's not much that's completely scheduled to come out that has me excited or has me even really interested in listening to it. So we'll see how that goes. If I hear anything where people are like, hey, go check this out, it was really good, I will, and maybe someone will surprise us with a random release that I'll have to go check out. But otherwise, this might be a slow month, as I expected it would be. Now to move on, what I've been listening to lately, I have been listening to a lot lately. I started off this week going through Vince Staples' discography. Vince Staples is someone, of course you all know who Vince Staples is, but he's someone who I've never really listened to enough. I mean, I've listened to him, don't get me wrong. I've listened to all of his albums, and I love his music, but he's someone who kind of gets lost in the mainstream there for me. Not really mainstream, but like of my favorite artists, he's not quite up there. And then of like lyrical content, he's good, but he just kind of gets lost in there to where he doesn't have that one specific thing that has me going back to him a lot. So I haven't really listened to that much of his work. I mean, I've listened to all of it, but not that often. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back, check it out. Really enjoyed it, of course. Still my favorite by him is Summertime. That's just a great project. I did enjoy FM that came out last year, and then of course I enjoyed Big Fish Theory as well, but definitely Summertime is still my favorite project by him. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to him because I hadn't listened to him in a while. Past that, I also decided to go through Drake's earlier discography. When I say earlier, I mean like So Far Gone through Nothing Was the Same, because after Nothing Was the Same, to me, it started to go downhill. Not saying that if you're reading this, It's Too Late was a bad project. It was still a good project. And then I'm even one of the few people who liked Views. I know it didn't live up to all the hype, but it was still good. But still, nonetheless, neither of those were as good as Nothing Was the Same. And then especially after that, More Life and Scorpion, those were disappointments. Especially Scorpion. I just didn't care for Scorpion at all. But yeah, so Far Gone, that's always been one of my favorite Drake projects. I just love how hungry he sounds there and how just raw all of it is. I love how introspective he gets on a lot of the songs. And then he still has that braggadocio style to him. And then you move on to like Take Care, and he really comes into form. It might be a little long-winded at times, but nonetheless, like, it's not the same long-winded that Scorpion is, where you're just drudging through it. Most of the songs are great, and some of them could afford to be cut, whereas Scorpion, some of the songs were good, and then a lot of them could have afforded to be cut. So no complaints there. And then, of course, Nothing Was the Same. I think that's his best work ever. I can't really name a song that I would absolutely cut, and it's not too long. It's not a crazy long project, so I just really enjoy that one. And I was happy to go back to it. I haven't listened to that much Drake lately just because of how disappointing he's been the last 3 projects, really. Even though I know I said I did enjoy Views, it's still disappointing. So it's good to go back and relive the old glory days of Drake and hope maybe he can get back to that. I've heard he might come out with something this year. You never know. And I don't want to say I'm excited for it, but I'm always hopeful to see if Drake comes back, does better than he did last time. Maybe a 15-song album that isn't overstacked with like the same sounding songs and no real content or anything like that. Maybe just something really good, like Nothing Was the Same was. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see if we get that. And then past Drake, I've been listening to a lot of classic trap, and then like moving towards current trap, because trap is definitely, if you haven't noticed, it's not exactly my favorite subgenre of rap, although I do enjoy a lot of the classic stuff. And then I'm trying to listen to some of the newer stuff, maybe not like the Lil Baby or Gunna or stuff like that. They're not ever going to be my personal favorite, but like other people, and I'll get to that in a second. But I started off with Gucci Mane, you know, just one of the most classic trap artists you can think of. I also listened to a little bit of Jeezy. Of course, T.I., the inventor of trap music. I had to go through him. And then I'm trying to stay away from people like Travis Scott, because, of course, I listen to a ton of Travis Scott. Everyone loves Travis. I've listened to enough of him, so it's not like I need to catch up on him. I'm listening to artists that I haven't listened to enough of. I just have finished going through Lil Uzi Vert. He's someone who I've never listened to much of because I always just thought he would be garbage. Don't get me wrong. I've listened to him, but people keep telling me, like, hey, he's actually not that bad of a trap artist when it comes to terms of trap artists today. So I checked him out, and I mean, it's enjoyable stuff. I'm not going to lie. I did enjoy it. I'm not going to say he's ever going to be one of my favorite artists, because still trap is not one of my favorite subgenres, especially not the way that it's done today. If it was still done the way that T.I. invented it, then yeah, I'd probably enjoy it a whole lot more. And if more artists would do it the way that Travis does, not saying that I want just a bunch of little Travises, like, no, that would get boring if everyone sounded the same, but I find his way of doing it enjoyable. And of course, a lot of his fans argue he's not really trap, but regardless, that's some stuff that I've been enjoying lately. That's just basically where I've been listening. I don't really know where I'm going to go from there. Guess we'll see. I might go through Travis. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, that's basically what I've been listening to lately. And then, all right, on to this topic, rap beefs. So, what made me decide to do this whole rap beef thing? I guess I'll have a mini discussion about that before I actually get into the whole rap beef thing. So, the reason I decided to do rap beefs is because it looks like maybe one is coming up on us. We all know the whole Drake and Pusha T thing, which was kind of set up by Kanye, and now Kanye and Drake are feeling like they're starting to get into it. You know, Kanye went on that whole rant on Twitter, and then we thought maybe it died down. Well, now it looks like J. Cole's picking a side, as a lot of you, I'm sure, have heard the song Middle Child by J. Cole. If you go into it and actually read what he says, it sounds like he's picking Drake's side against Kanye. And here, I'll just read for you what he says. He says, if I smoke a rapper, it's going to be legit. It won't be for clout. It won't be for fame. It won't be because my stuff ain't selling the same. It won't be to sell you my latest little sneakers. And that's the main line I want to focus on. It won't be to sell you my latest little sneakers. Now, who do you think he's talking about when he's referring to a rapper with sneakers? Only one rapper has the most popular shoe in the game, and I'm not talking about Travis Scott's Jordans, Air Force Ones, whatever. Although they are great shoes. No, I'm talking about Kanye and his Yeezys. That's right. J. Cole was officially picking Drake's side against Kanye. And who knows, maybe this will result in a J. Cole and Drake versus Kanye and Pusha T beef. Can't say that that's going to be one of the best rap beefs ever because, I mean, Drake's not exactly a great beefer. Don't get me wrong, he did beat Meek Mill. Still figuring that one out, but my opinion got destroyed by Pusha T. Pusha T's made for this kind of stuff. Kanye, I don't know if he's made for a beef. I mean, he's a great artist. I've loved him. He hasn't been as good lately as he used to be, but nonetheless, I don't know that he's much of a beefer. And then same thing with J. Cole. I don't think that he even wants to get into beef. He just had to kind of pick a side on this one because of how influential Kanye is on the industry and on people as a whole, and how I guess he feels like he's not having the right kind of influence anymore. We all know what Kanye was doing with the whole supporting Trump and then going back and forth on that and really not knowing what he's doing, and I don't know. So yeah, that's my little mini discussion on that. I mean, you say what you think. If you think J. Cole's actually going to beef with Kanye and take sides with Drake, that's your prerogative. If you think that he's just putting out this one line just to say where he stands and then going to leave it at that, we'll see. There have been some tweets by Pusha T that seems like they were aimed at Drake and J. Cole, so who knows? I guess we'll find out. But with that being said, that's what got me to want to talk about this. But now for my favorite rap beefs, I really only have two main ones that I really want to talk about because they are, in my opinion, the most important. Maybe a third one, but yeah. And for the record, I'm not going to put any Eminem beefs on here because I love his beefs. Don't get me wrong, but none of them are that memorable. First off, I mean, he destroys every artist that he beefs with for the most part, and second off, most of the artists he beefs with aren't that big anyways. It's not like it's a fair-sided beef to start with. Like the MGK and Eminem one, first off, Eminem didn't even drop that great of a diss track, and it still destroyed MGK. MGK's just not that big of a rapper. And then everyone else, I mean, they weren't that big. Maybe they were bigger at the time that he dissed them, but really, I'm just not even throwing him in here. It's not even worth the time. Of course, you have the whole Biggie and Tupac beef. That's just huge, but I don't think like it was as like downright nasty and straightforward as the other two that I'm personally thinking of. They mainly were just beefing, in my opinion, because they were the faces of the East versus West Coast battle, and that kind of predestined them to be beefing against each other. Yes, you have the whole thing where both of them died, and it's argued that both of them were killed by each other's men or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to get into speculating who killed Pac or Biggie. It's not my place. I'm definitely not going to get into discussion of one of them still being alive, because to me, that's just disrespectful. I don't agree with it. I think it's dumb. But definitely they had one of the best beefs ever. But really, I want to get into the heart and soul of it. Let's talk about, first off, Ice Cube versus NWA. Now, as we all know, Ice Cube was a member of NWA, if not the most important member of NWA, because he wrote most of their music. He was by far the best rapper out of the group. He might not have ended up having the best solo career. It's arguable between him and Dr. Dre. Either way, but nonetheless, he had a great solo career. He was definitely the best writer, definitely the best pure rapper out of the group. And he split off. I'm sure most of you have seen the movie Straight Outta Compton. You understand what happened. He felt disrespected by them. He dropped a diss track. And the reason that I think this is one of the best beefs ever, NWA did not just stand down and let it all go. But Cube comes out and drops No Vaseline. And if you've ever heard one person completely destroy an entire group, that's it right there. That would be like if, I don't know, Ghostface Killah left Wu-Tang, dropped a diss track, and every single one of them all together could not come up with a better diss track than that. They just lost the beef right there. Could you imagine that? And I'm not picking Ghostface Killah as my favorite Wu-Tang Clan member. I'm just throwing him out there as one of them. Like, it could have been any of them. It could have been Raekwon. It could have been ODB. Rest in peace. Any of them. So, but yeah, that's basically what happened. Ice Cube left, felt disrespected, felt like he was screwed over money-wise by Jerry, of course. And then, boom, kills all of them after being disrespected by them. That's just crazy to me. But the reason it's not my personal favorite beef is because The next one was a lot more even. And of course, you know what I'm talking about, Nas and Jay-Z. Now, I say it's even because both of them got their hits in, and you can argue either one of them won. Of course, Jay-Z ended up being the more popular, better selling artist, but Nas ended up being the one that most people, at least pure rap fans, would proclaim as the better rapper. You know, he has arguably the best rap album of all time in Illmatic. He has a few classics. Jay-Z has a few classics too, don't get me wrong. I'm not picking sides on which one I like more. You all know I like Nas more anyways, but I love both of them. But they both got their hits in. Either one could argue to have won, but most people will agree that Ether was the best diss track of all time, either that or No Vaseline, and definitely the best diss track out of their entire beef. And the best part about theirs is that everyone just forgave each other. Everyone got along after that. Of course, Ice Cube made up with NWA for the most part, but it felt like for the longest time they just had bad blood between each other, and then finally him and Dre make up. Of course, Eazy-E dies, and all of that. But with this one, they made up, and then they released the song Black Republican on Nas's album Hip Hop Is Dead. And yeah, that's how I like beefs to end. For one part, I like them to actually end where the two get along in the long run. They actually make a great song together. But the biggest thing for me was that they were the two names in New York, in the New York rap scene after Biggie was gone. They had to fight it out. They had to, and they did it in the best way. Jay-Z took a few personal hits towards Nas, especially attacking him while his mom was in the hospital. Nas took exception to that. Nas drops Ether. That basically ended it there. I mean, maybe went along for a little bit longer after that, but really Ether was the death of that one. And then it was all said and done. You see there's mutual respect between the two, and finally they join up, make a song together, and it's over with. So yeah, that's just my opinion on rap beefs. I'm personally glad they're not around anymore as much. Like, you see them here and there, but they're not the same. And they were great back then, but they just got too violent a lot of the time, and really, like, I like the fact that anyone can work with anyone now. You don't have to say, no, I'm not going to work with this person on a track because I can't stand them, I hate them, whatever, you know. Nowadays, we can get anybody on a track together. Like, could you imagine if two of the most popular artists right now were beefing, like we had Tupac and Biggie beefing? Like, what if J. Cole and Kendrick were beefing? Of course, you know, I think Kendrick is the best artist in the game right now. J. Cole, I'm not going to say he's the second best, but he's East Coast. He's one of the best on the East Coast. Kendrick's definitely, in my opinion, the best on the West Coast. So if them two beefing against each other, we'd never get a track with them. We'd never get a feature of one of them on the other's track or whatever. That wouldn't be fun. And here most of us are hoping that they drop a collab album together, and that would be great. So, you know, that's just my opinion on beefs anyways. That's my opinion on what the best ones were, and then also why I'm kind of glad they're not really around anymore at the same time. Whatever you think, let me know if you wish more beefs were around. I like some of them. Pusha T and Drake I kind of enjoyed. I do wish people would quit going at Drake and go after someone a little bit better. No offense to Drake. I think he's definitely one of the biggest names in the game, but he has not been at the top of his game lately, so he's kind of just been sleepwalking through this whole thing lately. I wish Pusha T would go after someone much bigger and better than that. I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head because I don't want to hope for him to beef with anyone huge. I would rather him work with them, but regardless, I would just love to see something like that. If you're going to beef, I would rather it be two people who could actually beef well against each other. But yeah, I'm glad it's not around anymore. So whatever you think about that, comment below, let me know. Whatever you're excited for coming out this week or within the next few months or whatever you expect is going to come out, hit me up about that. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, all those great things. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll be hitting y'all up with a review to Boogie's new album and maybe anything else that comes out coming up next week. So I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see y'all next time.